Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nena Oragwa. And our top stories tonight. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. On our first story, the Nigerian government has expressed confidence in the recovery of funds allegedly stolen by corrupt government officials and individuals kept in foreign banks, saying it will not relent in its drive to get the money returned to Nigeria despite a slow but painstaking process involved. According to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyama, who has been speaking on the foreign affairs achievements made in the 1 year of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria's bilateral relations has greatly enhanced this renewed confidence of recovering stolen funds stashed away in foreign banks. Our correspondent, Basil Okafor, has the reports.
Prior to the coming of the administration, Boko Haram insurgency has been a major challenge facing the government, and now the Foreign Affairs Minister is attributing the effort made by Buhari's government to the technical defeat of the insurgents. Among other achievements of the new administration within the year under review, according to the minister, were improvement on bilateral relations with other countries and the war the president is waging against corruption.
A lot has been achieved in 1 year, and sometimes people should go back, remember where Nigeria was 12 months ago. It was not a happy place.
In spite of the achievements, the minister acknowledged that there were challenges that confronted President Buhari immediately he was sworn in, and that due to his focused leadership, some of the challenges were addressed by the government. On the recent upsurge in blowing up of oil pipelines masterminded by a militant group under the name of the Niger Delta Avengers, the minister says efforts are on to defeat them like Boko Haram.
We are now taking very strong measures to address that. And I think you're right. It's important that we nip it in the bud and don't allow it to fester and become a real...
Some other issues that attracted the attention of the minister are Nigerians' effort towards the repositioning of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to make it more effective on the challenges facing the sub-region. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The federal government has inaugurated a technical committee on peace and stability in the Niger Delta region following a series of attacks on oil and gas infrastructure allegedly by members of the Niger Delta Avengers. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Usaini Uguru Usaini, and the special advisor to the President of the Amnesty Program, Paul Borough, retired, made this known while inaugurating the committee in Abuja today. The officials say it would not succumb to the activities of saboteurs. While describing the latest bombing of oil and gas infrastructure as a criminal act of sabotage, federal authority, however, says it is open to dialogue as a means to ensuring that peace returns to the area as quickly as possible. In another development, the federal government says it is committed to ensuring a clean national environment in order to have sustainable fishery and farmlands. The Minister of State for the Environment, Jibril Ibrahim, gave this hint at the conference on Nigerian Biosafety Act, Genetic Modified Organisms Implication in Nigeria. It says environmental pollution has grossly affected the capacity of food production in the country. Our correspondent, Kikelomo Okeri, completes the story.
The health of the earth has become a major concern all over the world due to critical global warming challenges, which also affect Nigeria. The growing population is also a major challenge, which has led to increased demand for food, fiber, and fuel. The Minister of State for Environment says genetic modified organism has contributed to loss of agricultural land, reiterating that the federal government will unfold a clear environment to ensure that Nigeria have a safe and satisfactory environment.
Environmental pollution, including those from the oil sector, has grossly impacted our capacity to produce the food that we need. While oil produces national wealth, it has
Executive Director, African Faith and Justice, explained that a close analysis of government foreign aid to Africa shows it has done more harm than good, adding that it is a major cause of stifling the development of local initiative.
They are really concerned about the overall issue of governance, to make sure that our government works for the good of the people, not for a few companies that have money or a few individuals.
Director, Health of Mother Foundation is demanding a review of a way of safeguarding the environment, health, food system, and future generation.
Nigeria must be careful about accepting risks without caution. The National Biosafety Management Act of 2015 is hardly known by the majority of Nigerians.
The theme of the conference, Just Governance, will help the government to generate a viable sector to meet the food need of the population and ensure food security. Kikelomo Okeri, CoreTV News.
While the Kaduna State government has declared a state of emergency on tomato production over the outbreak destructive pest, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, says 80% of the tomatoes produced in the state have been ravaged by pests and diseases, tomato blight. The Commissioner for Agriculture, Megari Daniel Manzo, who disclosed this at a news conference in Kaduna, confirms that over 200 tomato farmers in 3 local government areas of the state affected by the destructive pest, adding that the farmers have suffered losses worth 1 billion naira in the last 1 month. Megari says some officials of the Ministry of Agriculture have been sent to Kenya to mediate with experts with a scrutiny to finding solutions to the problem and tomato production ceases. The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian Export-Import Bank is kickstarting a 500 billion naira loan scheme for SMEs in the export sector. At the Stakeholders Forum in Lagos, representatives of both the CBN and Nexim Bank enlightened experts in the new export finance facilities, which will run for a period of 10 years. Our correspondent, Akin Obake, completes the story.
With several loan schemes made available to exporters over the years by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the 500 billion naira export stimulation facility is geared at reviving the non-oil export sector in the country. Speaking at a stakeholders forum where the Nigerian Export-Import Bank enlightens exporters on how to tap into the refinancing facility and the export stimulation facility to boost the non-oil sector, representative of Nexim Bank sheds light on the scheme.
The facility by the guidelines is well designed and is targeted at export-oriented companies. So in the eligibility criteria, we have to make sure that even when you apply, applicants that are not export-oriented will be disqualified.
Regional coordinator of Nexim Bank believes the new export finance facilities, unlike other loan schemes in the past, is what the export sector needs.
The NEPC alone cannot face it. That's why the synergy of this funding is coming up. With the CBN coming up with this funding arrangement, it makes our job easier because there are quite a number of products to be developed there. But because of funding, cost of funding, it's difficult to scale up production, it's funding.
Exporters present believe it is a great step and urge more support to the non-oil sector.
There are a lot of challenges exporters from Nigeria are facing. to impact positively on that. So I think with this intervention now, a lot of exporters that can export to the US and other parts of the world can have access to funding.
The sponsors are promising that the loan facility will get to the target beneficiaries to bridge the gap of poor financing for exporters. Akin Obakeye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has raided and sealed several factories, including bakeries and sachet water factories that did not meet up the requirement for production of goods in Kaduna State. Addressing journalists during the raid, the head of NAFDAC Kaduna, Dadi Mullah, explains that the companies closed down did not in any way have a semblance to a place where people should be offered water to drink or bread to eat. Further discloses that some of the companies were operating below minimum hygienic standard. Mullah points out that the decent company should be compliant with adequate materials, production process should be certified, and the personnel should also be medically certified. In view of the devastation caused by an attack by suspected herdsmen on Okeako community, the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, has banned grazing and rearing of cattle in the state. Speaking during the commiseration visit to the families of victims who lost their lives and injured, Fayose reiterates the commitment of his administration to ensure the security of lives and property. Our correspondent, Adeleke Olagbami, tells us more in this report taken from our studios.
The menace of suspected Fulani herdsmen reared its ugly head Friday, May 20th, 2026 in Okeako community located in Ikole local government area, about 2 hours drive from Ado-Ekiti, the state's capital. It is an infuriated and visibly shaken governor who could not control his emotions and threw caution to the winds, promising that the state will have no other choice but to reinforce the Mosaic Law.
A fight against one Ekiti man is a fight against everybody. The president must rise up to the challenge and stand the present decaying situation in terms of security in the face. We can't continue like this.
Emotive as the situation shows, the governor, while commiserating with the people of Okeako over the attack, reiterates the commitment of his government to ensure the security of life and property. Two traditional rulers in the area blame the absence of any form of security in the area for the way herdsmen have been terrorizing them.
It has been long we are on this problem. These people, Fulani, have been coming to destroy our farm products, but they have never come to the community to attack us. This is the first time they make the attack.
At least I became king since 2007, and we have been fighting this battle for a very long time. You see, we have reported cases, made several arrests, some are in prison, some are in remand, but all to no avail.
For the Commissioner of Police in the Ekiti State, inadequate manpower is a major hindrance to them in curbing criminal activities in the state.
The position of things here is that we have enough security here for now. And we know that we have problem of manpower, so we have to be rationaling it and make sure that at any particular point there is no lacuna. So that is where we are concentrating in.
The attack on Okeako community and the surrounding villages has left the people in a state of perpetual anxiety over their safety, thereby leading to emigration from the Okeako community and its environment.
A bill seeking a 5-year jail term for Randi educators is being deliberated at the Senate. The bill proposed by OVA Omo Agege seeks for an act to provide for the prohibition of sexual harassment of students by educators, tertiary institutions. The debate had divergent views on who actually harasses who, but the Senate is accepting to make enabling laws to forestall cases of sexual harassment. The transport sector in Nigeria may be heading for proper sanitation should a bill for the establishment of a Transport Regulation Commission pass third reading at the Senate. The bill sponsored by Senator Andy Obai seeking legislation that will see to the proper running of all areas of the transport sector. He observes that the sector has been largely unregulated and therefore has all kinds of violations in the operation of transport systems in the country. Our correspondent, Jamil Lefegwa, tells us more.
Transportation is no doubt one of the main arteries of any nation's economy, as it enhances development through investment shifts. The sponsor feels there is a need to properly articulate a system that is worthwhile for Nigeria and Nigerians.
The transportation service sector in Nigeria has been largely uncoordinated and lacking in direction for the decades. The somewhat chaotic business model which hitherto reversed in the sector.
There has not been any serious government coordination in the transport sector. No unit within the transport industry has ever been created to fashion out a transport need for Nigerians. But some contributors are of the view that the present government has taken the right step by harmonizing issues in the transport ministry.
There is no government establishment under the Ministry of Transportation that has specifically taken it when you say to look at the transportation needs of Nigeria first. There are attempts to change government to bring the affairs of all modes of transportation into one ministry, Ministry of Transportation. Is one step.
Transportation touches on the totality of national life as it helps to traverse the length and breadth of the country with goods, people and services. But as observed, the Nigerian Shippers Council must be included in the new legislation to have an all-inclusive transport system.
So it's really important that the Commission has proposed like this bill.
Referring the bill to the relevant committee, the President of the Senate says the bill is an all-important one. The Senate must ensure its speedy passage.
For us to move and stimulate our economy, we must get our transport sector right. And this bill has come about with the engagement we've had with the private sector, who have come to us to tell us that which are the laws that they need passed in order to move this economy forward.
The bill is one of the frontline bills discussed at the recent roundtable conference Economic Summit
land transport.
held in the National
The report
Assembly.
will be back in 4 weeks.
Jamil Afebu, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dakuku Peterside, has pledged to protect the Cabotage Vessel Finance and Fund, CVFF, from any form of abuse. The DG made a pledge while fielding questions from newsmen at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Peterside assured stakeholders that NIMASA would ensure the disbursement of the CVFF to qualified operators, provided they met the requirements stipulated in the guidelines. The fund, a product of the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act of 2003, provides for the disbursement of loans to indigenous operators in the shipping industry to grow their fleets. There seems to be an urgent need to open investigations into tax incentives and waivers granted to multinational corporations in Nigeria. The need is contained in a motion by Kehinde Odeneye, representing Ijebu Northeast Odogbolu Federal Constituency of Ogun State. Odeneye observes that foreign direct investment, FDI, plays a crucial role in the nation's economy as it is a source of foreign exchange earner. Our House of Representatives correspondent, Emmanuel Hijene, files in his report on the proceedings. We'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletins. Coming up after the break, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission declared former Deputy Governor of Osun State, Iyolao Misore, wanted. Bring you details of this after this break. Let's stay with us.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government, is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure, like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. A quick recap of our top stories. For these stories and more of news stories, join us on the social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Liverspace News. The 2016 Audit Committee on the Fight Against Corruption urges the federal government to renounce corrupt acts from all levels for the nation to be seen in a better and respectable position in and other parts of the world. The conference in Lagos, experts posit that integrity and ethics are the missing links in governance, and that when they are inculcated in people at work, they entrench cooperation, consciousness, and self-discipline, which are the keynotes of governance. Our correspondent, Victoria Solomon, has more in his reports.
Corruption is a persistent phenomenon in Nigeria. The Buhari-led administration, who has been in the fight against corruption, has continued to assure Nigerians to retrieve lost funds owned for the development of the country. With this, an audit expert strongly believes that it is not only for the nation to admit there is corruption, but to take conscious steps to end the dreaded cankerworm.
The biggest piece of corruption that I would like to see policymakers tackle is bring back the money. And to bring back the money, you are dealing with humans. If you are carrying a stick and asking them to bring back the money, it's not going to happen. They won't bring back the money.
A spiritual leader, however, makes recommendations for the nation and hopes there would be an end to corruption, beginning with the leaders.
We create a workplace that focuses on two fundamental spiritual needs and satisfying those both in terms of the leader themselves and also in terms of the people. And those two needs are the need for purpose, the need for community and membership.
As the fight against corruption in the country continues to gain ground, and with the support of the international community, it is believed that every stakeholder will effectively play their roles to help the nation. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Ahmed Jafaru as the new Controller General of the Nigeria Prison Service. Jafaru replaces Peter Ekpendu, who retired from service on May 17, 2016 after the mandatory 35 years in service. Until his appointment, Jafaru was an Assistant Controller General of Prisons and was serving at the prison's headquarters in Abuja. According to a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Interior, Basi Akmayong, Jafaru's appointment took effect from May 17, 2016, the day Ekpendu retired from service. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has declared wanted a former Deputy Governor of Osun State, Iyola Omisore. The commission says Omisore allegedly received 700 million naira from a former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, between June and November 2014. Omisore had been evading arrest for several months, and the thus had no choice but to declare him wanted. The EFCC explains that instead of responding to the Commission's investigation, Omisore had approached the Federal Capital Territory High Court for the enforcement of fundamental human rights. Justice Hussaini Baba Yusuf consequently ordered that Omisore should only be arrested through a due and legal process. Still on court matters, the leadership crisis rocking Nigeria's main opposition party, People's Democratic Party (PDP), took another twist today as counter orders restrained the parallel leaders from assuming the mantle of leadership of the party. In one case, a federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt granted an interim injunction restraining the immediate past national chairman and national secretary of the PDP, Ali Modu Sharif and Adewale Ladipo, from parading themselves as national officers of the party. But in a counter ruling, a federal high court in Lagos declared as invalid the caretaker committee constituted to take over the affairs of the PDP from its acting national chairman, Ali Modu Sharif. The court sitting in Port Harcourt had issued its judgment first today, granting a restraining order on all members of the party's National Working Committee from receiving nominations or submitting names to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) as officers or candidates of the PDP in whatever capacity, pending the hearing termination of the motion and notice brought by the party. In later ruling also today, however, Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos ordered Ali Modu Sharif, the erstwhile chairman of the party, to continue to serve as the party's chairman. The judge nullified the National Caretaker Committee constituted by the People's Democratic Party during last Saturday's convention. The PDP is currently enmeshed in a leadership crisis which culminated in 2 parallel conventions in Abuja and Port Harcourt on Saturday. The countdown to the one-year administration of the All Progressive Congress government, which came into power after defeating the ruling People's Democratic Party in the 2015 general election, with a promise to ameliorate the challenges of Nigerians under the change mantra agenda. Taking a critical look into the activities of the government, analyzed on our flagship program called Digest, examine some of the policies adopted by the President Buhari-led administration. Our correspondent has more.
It's been a year the APC-led administration took over the mantle of leadership in Nigeria. However, political pundits have been questioning the promises made during the campaign era of the party on how effective the implementation has been on the issue of the economy, security of lives and property, provision of basic amenities. On our steamy flagship program called Digest, analysts on the show criticized the issue of the lingering epileptic power supply.
There's hardly any business you want to do today that you don't need power in one way or the other. But in a situation whereby you pay for electricity that you don't get, and at the end of the day, the little money you make from the business, you expend all that money on providing electricity.
However, it charged the ruling party to implement policies that will be favorable to the citizens.
And we must also ensure at this stage, like he has rightly said, that we use the social media to put pressure on the elected public officers to do the needful for the Nigerian people.
Callers also have divergent views.
I would assess the government well, because today I can see that there is made in Nigerian rice in the market. And most of the products that we are now having, most of the products are made in Nigeria. And I think the encouragement of made in Nigerian goods in the market is a plus for the government.
The president doesn't have a proper plan for this very country. It's a reality. Because even when you are talking about some people are trying to sabotage the government, other government also, that past government, the PDP also say the same thing.
It is expected that the APC-led administration will fulfill the promises made to Nigerians, despite all odds.
The Civil Society Situation Room on Elections in Nigeria's monitoring event as the Edo and Ondo State governorship election gradually draws near, and will be working with all stakeholders to achieve a free, fair and credible election. The Situation Room is also collaborating with the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure that voter education is given more priority. Our correspondent, Kozem Kasali, has more in this package.
The Edo and Ondo State governorship elections are gradually drawing near, and as part of efforts aimed at ensuring free, fair and credible elections, the Civil Society and INEC Situation Room has again convened to seek ways to ensure that the process goes ahead without rancor. Speaking on some of the issues that will shape the elections, National Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission, Amina Zakari, disclosed that violence is a major concern. She, however, expresses her hope that communities will not allow people of questionable characters to use their areas as launching pad to disrupt elections.
We do have fears of violence that could cause inconclusive elections, because the issue of inconclusive elections is not really a factor of the election management body. It's a factor of something happening at a particular polling unit that makes INEC cancel that polling unit.
Governance advisor for the Department for International Development in Nigeria, Clara Barnett, and the executive director of the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Clement Nwanko, both expressed the hope that the continuing engagement by civil society groups and all other stakeholders with the Independent National Electoral Commission will result in better electoral process in the country.
I hope that we'll be hearing ways in which INEC and the security forces have learned from past elections, and also how all of you, are tailoring the way in which you're going to be observing these elections, the way in which you're doing advocacy on these elections, are based on the experiences that you've had to date.
So for us in civil society is to prepare to ensure that we do have a good coverage in terms of our observation, but also that in terms of civic awareness and education, that we are able to convey and communicate to citizens the importance of peaceful election.
The representative of the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arasi, David Folawiyo, however, says the force is stepping up its preparation for each free elections in both states.
We have on ground right there now squads taking care of pockets of violence and preparing, showing force and making conscious effort.
While preparations and engagement by all stakeholders on the Ondo and Edo states governorship elections continue, it is only hoped that this message of peace will get to the dramatis personae to engender a free, fair and credible polls. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The federal government says it has recorded a savings of about 220 billion naira since April 2007, when it commenced the implementation of the Integrated Personal Payroll Information System. A statement from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation says the amount is expected to increase when other agencies of government are enrolled to the platform. The IPPIS is one of the federal government's reform initiative conceived to transform the Nigerian public service, aimed at improving the management of human resources and providing a centralized payroll system in the service. The project implementation commenced at the Bureau of Public Service Reforms before its management was transferred to the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation in October 2008. The Edo State government has approved the appointment of the Edaikan Nuselo, His Royal Highness Prince Ehine Dene Radio as the new Oba of Benin. It explains that the approval was in line with Section 19, subsection 1, Traditional Rulers and Chiefs Law 1979 as amended, adding that the appointment takes effect from April 29, 2016. The approval was contained in a letter dated May 24, 2016 and signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Julius Ihovebere. The appointment takes effect from April 29, 2016. Still ahead on today's news from outside the country, Egypt's head of forensic denies reports of a possible explosion on board the Egypt airplane. We'll bring you details of this and more stories in foreign and sport after this break.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on the foreign scene. Egypt's head of forensics has denied reports of a possible explosion on board the Egypt airplane that crashed in the Mediterranean, killing all 66 persons on board. Earlier today, an unnamed Egyptian forensic official said human remains retrieved from the plane's wreckage pointed to an explosion on board, even though no traces of explosives had been detected. The official based his assessment on the small size of border parts so far recovered from the area where Flight 804 crashed on Thursday while en route from Paris to Cairo. However, another senior forensics official said only a tiny number of remains had arrived so far, and it was too early to specify whether or not there had been an explosion aboard. Meanwhile, in the search for clues, family members of the victims arrived today at the forensic department of the Cairo morgue to give DNA samples to help identify the remains of their relatives. At least 13 persons have been killed and dozens missing by landslide in Myanmar's northern jade mining region. Deputy head of Hakban Township Administration Office in Kachin State, Muyotet Ang, discloses that 2 piles of mining debris collapsed late on Monday after 2 days of rain. He says witnesses say there were about 100 workers when this accident occurred, adding that many people are still buried. Earlier this month, at least 13 persons were killed in a similar landslide in the same region, known for supplying some of the highest quality of jade in the world. The jade industry in Myanmar is dominated by companies linked to leaders of the previous military government, ethnic rebels, and businessmen with close connections to the former junta. We now move on to Syria, where Kurdish-led forces have marched thousands of fighters as part of a military offensive to take over Raqqa, the northern Syrian city controlled by the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, also known as ISIS, for more than 2.5 years. The Syrian Democratic Forces, a U.S.-backed coalition of armed groups led by the Kurdish People's Protection Unit, released a statement declaring its goal of liberating Raqqa from ISIL, which has rolled the ton and committed atrocities against civilians. Spokesman Steve Warren said the led coalition against ISIL was supporting the offensive, pointing out that the coalition will continue to provide air support for SDF operations against ISIS. The coalition, as well as Syrian government forces and their ally Russia, have launched airstrikes on Raqqa since it was captured by ISIL during its advance through Syria and Iraq in 2014. Greek authorities have begun an operation to clear the country's largest informal refugee camp in Idomeni on the Macedonian border, blocking access to the area and sending in more than 700 riot policemen. The government spokesman for the refugee crisis, Georgios Kritisis, said the police would not use force and that the operation is expected to last about a week to 10 days. By late afternoon today, 32 buses carrying a total of 1,529 people had left Idomeni, while earth-moving machinery was used to clear abandoned tents. Police and government authorities say the residents will be moved to newly completed official camps, including in the second-largest city, Thessaloniki. Representative of the Doctors Without Borders charity, Vicky Makulefa, said the relocation operation was proceeding very smoothly, but voiced concern over the facilities where the refugees were being taken. We now move on to sports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
The House of Representatives has mandated its committees on sports and foreign affairs to investigate reasons for the visa denial of Nigerian athletes for the Rio Olympic qualifiers by the Turkish embassy. Members observed that such actions could affect the morale of the athletes and affect the chances of qualifying for the Games. National Assembly correspondent Emmanuel Lehijene files in his reports.
The refusal by the Turkish embassy to grant entry visas to the nation's wrestling and coaching crew prompted serious condemnation from the members, who were saying that if the American embassy granted visas to the team, there's no reason why Turkey should deny them. The attitude of the Turkish embassy is for them annoying.
The Wrestling Federation technical crew deemed it necessary to attend the third qualifying tournament in Istanbul, Turkey, in order to increase the number of wrestlers to qualify so as to increase the number of possible medals for Nigeria in the Rio Olympic Games. But unfortunately, they were denied visas.
The lawmaker knows that there are still several competitions and qualifiers that the nation's Olympic team will attend, and stressed that measures must be put in place to forestall future occurrences.
If the same sad, unfortunate situation like that that occurred in Turkey reoccurs to other federations, then certainly Nigerian athletes may not have the chances of competing in the Rio Olympic Games.
The House is mandating its Committee on Sports and Foreign Affairs to investigate and report back in 7 days.
Nigeria Professional League clubs have a 2-week window which started from 8 a.m. on Monday, May 23 to 5 p.m. on June 3 to register new players and sign up players and permanent or temporary transfers. The league management company, in a circular to all clubs, announced the opening of the mid-season transfer window, but also reminds the clubs that for any registration to be approved, attestation letters from the 7 players and coaches of the clubs must be presented, confirming that their obligations to the players and coaches have been fully met. The LMC notes that this is to ensure that there are no overdue payments owed the players. Liverpool have signed Mainz goalkeeper Luis Carriers in a long-term deal. 22-year-old completed a medical in Merseyside on Tuesday and has become Liverpool's second confirmed arrival of the summer for a £4.7 million fee. Jurgen Klopp was seeking same more competition for no one keeper Simon Mignolet, and former German under-21 international Carriers arrives after keeping 9 clean sheets for its clubs in the Bundesliga last season. Carriers joined Schalke midfielder Joe Matip as a new arrival at Anfield, and Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool beat out competition from a number of other clubs to sign Carriers, who spent part of youth career with Manchester City before joining Mainz in 2011. And finally, in tennis, Andy Murray has beaten 37-year-old qualifier Radek Stepanek in 5 sets to avoid a shock first-round defeat at the French Open in Paris. The British world number 2 trailed 2 sets to 1 when play was suspended on Monday because of bad light. Murray, 29, won the 4th set, but was pushed hard by his Czech opponent before winning the deciding set to clinch a 3-6, 3-6, 6-0, 6-3, 7-5 victory. Murray will next face French wildcard Matthias Belge, who is ranked 164th in the world. Meanwhile, top seed Novak Djokovic and 9-time champion Rafael Nadal each through to the French Open second round with comprehensive victories. Djokovic, a defeated finalist in 3 of the last 4 years, beat Chinese Taipei's Yan Hunsun Lu 6-4, 6-1, 6-1, and will next face Belgian's Steve Dassers. Meanwhile, 29-year-old 4th seed Rafael Nadal took only 1 hour and 20 minutes to overcome Sam Groth 6-1, 6-1, 6-1. Nadal will now face Argentine world number 99 Facundo Bagnis in the second round after taking his career French Open record 71 wins and 2 losses. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stars. Thank you very much for staying with us tonight. I am Anena Oragwe. Do have a beautiful night rest.